Welcome back, Outliers. Today we have an opportunity to check in on Plan ETF and see if there's an opportunity to trade. We did have a little bit of a dip here in SPY as of June 16th, though we have seen some green candles in a row. Today, looking a little bit down just after market open, and we can see that those EMAs, in fact, never did cross. So technically, we've been in an uptrend since looks like April 9th. So let's check in now that we've gone through this little bit of a dip here and we've got some green. Let's see what Plan ETF has to say. Now, all Outliers have access to the Plan decks. If you go to FAQ and member contributions, you can click on this channel here, which gives you the link to the playlist. So we drop that over to the side. We can open that slide deck. We can go to the Plan ETF section. Now, you always want to start out with your exits first. So if you have something on and you're trying to learn how a professional may trade, you want to go through the exits first. And the exits are in the beginning of the slide deck. But we're going to focus on entries right now because currently there is nothing on. There's just Plan SICADFU, which has been active for a bit. Let's check out the Plan ETF entries here. So there's two different ways to trade Plan ETF. You can go with the triple Qs, more of a tech ETF, or you can go with SPY, which is more of a representation of the larger market. Let's go ahead and look at SPY here. If we open up Outlier, we can type in SPY here, and then it will suggest what I probably mean that I'm typing, and sure enough, I mean to type SPY. You can see that right here, there's a brand new buy signal. I can double check that just here where I can see that today, June 16th, there's a buy signal. The current signal being swing is a buy signal. I can see that in the green background tells me that we're in an uptrend. I can see that these EMAs didn't cross yet, and the price is above the 50. I can look in this area for the SPY fear and greed. Remember, this is the fear and greed of the ticker itself. If I hover over today, I can see 55.07. Looking at yesterday, 55.89. Okay, so I can tell that today is lower than yesterday, which means the fear and greed is falling, but it is under 70. Okay, we got through this signal, this signal. We looked at the fear and greed heat map. It is under 70, and it doesn't matter if it's moving up or down. In this case, it is moving down, but it doesn't matter. Let's look at the value zone. This is a bit of a confusion for folks, but we made it as easy as possible. If you continue in that FAQ and member contribution section, you will see that there is a trading view category here. Inside this category, you can find the Outlier Plan ETF Value Zone link right here. And if you use that link, it's going to take you into Trading View with that indicator available. So if we look right here, the Outlier Value Zone, I'm just going to close a couple of things here to kind of clean up the chart. The value zone is right here. We can show it or hide it just by hitting that eyeball looking button. We can see there's this green area, and that green area occurs when the price is inside the value zone, specifically closed inside the value zone. So it looks like there was a couple of days where it closed in there. It was this day and this day. They both closed in that value zone. So it's possible yesterday we would have been watching Plan ETF as an opportunity to learn, and we would have seen, look, it's in the value zone, but that buy signal had not come yet, right? That buy signal just came today, June 16th. Well, here we are today on the 16th. We're in the value zone. We checked all of our signals, including the buy, and it looks like today might be an entry, right? So what are the rest of the signals? Well, there's only one more. Are there any order blocks? If they are, they need to be more than 2% away, and they need to be at least 30 days old. Well, how are we going to get order blocks? Well, we're going to hop back into that trading view category, and we're going to grab the deep thought indicator. This version 4.2 indicator includes those order blocks. So we'll turn off the value zone. We'll turn on the 4.2 indicator, and sure enough, we're going to find some horizontal bars. Those horizontal bars below the price are support. It suggests that if the price were to drop in this area, it would have difficulty falling through that area. So that's good. There's a block above, and that suggests that the price is going to have difficulty rising past that order block. So we can tell it's within 2% because it's just on top of the price. But how old is it? Well, if we look at the left-hand side of that bar up until today, we can see it is 12 bars or 18 days old. So it's less than 30 days old, but it is within 2%. Okay, so because it's not at least 30 days old, it doesn't matter. So this signal is a pass. So we got all the way through SPY, and it all passes. Let's check the Qs here really quick. We look at the Qs. The first thing we're going to want is an uptrend. And sure enough, we've got a green background indicating that uptrend. We can tell these EMAs are stacked correctly. The blue is over the black, and the price is above the 50, which is the red. There's also the buy signal. So the first two signals are great. Let's look at the third signal. We're going to watch this number right here. We're going to see that the value is 57.92. So it's less than 70. But is it rising or falling? Well, we can visually see it's falling, but we can double check by just moving to the left, and we can see yesterday it was 59.23. So that tells us it's still falling because 57.92 is smaller than 59.23. Okay, we've got through the first three signals. Let's look at the value zone on the Qs. So we're going to, while we're here, we can look for order blocks. There are no order blocks above us, so that signal's good. If we turn off the deep thought indicator and turn on the value zone, we'll see that we are, in fact, still inside that value zone. So the price is above the 20 EMA, but below 2 ATR above the 20 EMA. So it's in good shape. I do notice red on both the Qs and SPY, so I'm going to keep that as a note here. But so far, both of these would be tradable as a learning exercise for Plan ETF. What I mean by that is you can paper trade for free. Brokers typically let you paper trade for free. It's based on real signals, actual price movement in terms of a paper trade, and that's why it's a great tool. You do have to be aware that you have to act like it's real money. You have to trade your plan as if you are taking a real money trade, because if you're not trading your plan, then you're not really taking advantage of your plan. And then you can't backtest your plan. You really need to trade as if it is real money. All right, so let's look at the trend, the intraday trend of these two. And what I mean by that is in our Outlier Training with Joe channel, under playlists, we have this user guide section. And if we scroll all the way to the bottom of this user guide section, we're going to find a couple of videos that kind of show how I like to make sure that I'm entering on a positive trend and exiting as well at the right time. Okay. So these two videos would be interesting to you in terms of the very next screen I'm going to show you. This isn't a way Chris trades. It's just a way I like to trade because I really dislike it when a trade goes against me immediately. And I'm trying to avoid that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch to the 5-minute candle chart. So I'm going to click the 5. I'm looking at the Qs, and I am going to zoom in here. Now, I don't necessarily need the value zone indicator now because I've decided I'm going to trade. Now I'm trying to decide at what time in the day am I going to trade. So I need those EMA lines, and so I can get those through the deep thought indicator, and I can zoom in here. Now these lines are the ones that I'm interested in, and they're currently upside down, right? So the blue is the 10, it is below the 20. I want this to be reversed. The price down here is below the 50. Again, not where I want it to be. So I would not trade right now. Again, as a learning exercise, I would not trade right now because this tells me the trend is down. Intraday, the trend is down, and I don't want it to be down. I'm anticipating, maybe this support here will kind of coerce it to be back in positive territory, but I'm not going to pay to find out. I don't need to pay to find out. Let's go and check on SPY, and we'll look at the intraday trend on SPY. Well, you can see at the beginning of the day, it was trending correctly. The blue is over the black, and the price is above the red. That's the stacking I'm interested in. So I would have probably taken this trade, 10 a.m. to 10:15, maybe somewhere in there. But as soon as that trend started falling, I'm not interested at this time of the day. I will take the trade today because that's what the plan is telling me to do, and I'm trying to learn, right? But I'm not going to take it while the trend is down. The trend is down, right? These candles are down, the trend's down. It's maybe considering coming back up, right? We've got some green here, but it's not there yet. And as a matter of fact, this order block is suggesting it may even have some difficulty getting through there. So I'm going to wait. I'm going to wait and see. I will take it by the end of the day because that's what the plan says I'm to do. And you do you. I'm not recommending that you trade any plan. I'm trying to show you how I personally am learning these plans and how I am testing my skills as a professional trader. I want to make sure that I can make the proper emotional decision. I've studied much of the trading psychology content that we've put out on YouTube. And that tells me that the professional traders, the successful traders, they really focus on psychology. They really try to control the fear of missing out. They do not buy the dip. They follow their plan. So with that said, I'm just going to wait. I'm going to look to see what the rest of the day holds. By the end of the day, I will be taking a trade in plan ETF, whether it be SPY or QQQ. I don't know. The trend is continuing to go down on both of them intraday. So we shall see. Checking back in with you outliers here. We're watching the SPY 5-minute chart, looking for a good entry. And what I can see is there's been some candles here, some good looking candles. Now the price is above the 10-period EMA on the 5-minute chart. Has not quite reached the 20. So that means the 10 has not crossed the 20 yet. And the price is still below the 50. So I'm anticipating the price would need to get up into this area before potentially taking an intraday trade. Again, not advice for you, just kind of giving you some insight as to how I intend to trade today. I will take the trade, as I mentioned, because that's what the plan I am trying to learn suggests, and that's what the back testing suggests. I'm just trying to find an intraday entry. I don't want to buy when the price is falling. I want to buy when the price is rising, and I follow a trend. And a trend is not just a couple of green candles in a row. A trend is a moving average cross into a bullish pattern. So I'll continue to check in here, and actually I'm going to watch both of these, SPY and Triple Q. And the way I'm going to do that is I'm going to change my layout. I'm going to go to a dual page layout. I'm going to look at SPY over here on the 5-minute. And I'm going to look at QQQ over here on the 5-minute. It looks like I've got a better chance of getting into SPY in again, a learning opportunity here, and compared to QQQ, because look how far that price is below the 20. It's not showing the 10 on the chart right now. I'm not exactly sure why, but I can tell you it has not crossed. The 10 has not crossed that 20, and the trend continues to go down on triple Q. So I'll check back in and give you an update a little bit later in the day as the market continues. Checking back in here, and what do we see? We see, in fact, so far it has been right to wait. SPY here on the 5-minute is still in a downtrend. The 10 is still under the 20, and the price is far, far below the 50. The same with the triple Qs. It continues to be on an intraday downtrend, right? Those EMAs are simply stacked upside down. As someone who wants the price to go up, they're just not rising. So I will continue to wait, check in, and every once in a while, and see if there's an opportunity to get in intraday. Of course, the point is to just try to get in at a price point that has a bit of a tailwind, something to keep the momentum moving upward, and it's just not there yet. Checking back in, we can see some tall candle action, right? On SPY, the 5-minute chart, we can see a rather tall candle going from 752 to 753, and one coming right at its toes. So is it time to get in? Well, for you, it might be. For me, I'm still looking for that trend. I'm still looking for the 10 to be over the 20 and the price to be above that 50, right? I'm still a trend trader. I'm looking for the trend to be established. And what is the trend right now? It's opposite of what I want it to be. The 10 is under that 20. So the trend is down. The price is below that 50. Again, the trend is down. When we started this video, I think we were up in this area, right? So this whole time, let's say I took this tall candle. I essentially FOMO'd in, and I thought, that trend is definitely changing. Look at the size of that candle. I would have been this entire time, basically an hour and a half. I would have been kicking myself for an hour and a half, waiting for that price to recover. I don't like that. I do not like the emotional roller coaster of a losing trade. I'm going to give myself as much chance as possible for this price to be increasing past the point that I buy it. Same thing with Qs, right? We got a tall candle here followed by another green candle, but again, the trend is still down. It's much more obvious to see that this trend is down, right? We're not even above the 10-period moving average on the 5-minute candles. So continue to wait and check back in later. Here we are back checking in on the chart. And what do we see on SPY? We've got a continuation of some green candles, the price moving up, a couple of reds coming here, but do we have the cross? Is the 10 above the 20? I believe no. And is the price above the 50? No, it is not. So continuing on here, watching intraday, looking for a good entry on SPXL or triple Qs. TQQQ would be the asset that I would use, a leveraged asset. Both of them continue on with this downtrend, but it's getting close. It is getting close, right? We're basically back to the price that we started this video with. This emotional roller coaster did not have to get ridden. We did not have to pay to see if the price would come back up to that level, and that's something that I really strive for. So continue to watch here. Checking back in here, outliers, we can see that the trend continues to be down intraday for both SPY and TQQQ, or excuse me, and the Qs. But I do have to draw a line in the sand. I do have to trade my plan. The plan I am learning is, of course, plan ETF. So we've gotten through all the signals. The one I'm going to pick, though, due to time constraints, is I'm going to shy away from SPY. It looks like the trend continues more in the wrong direction, right? The 10 is getting further away from the 20. So I'm going to hop over to TQQQ, and I'm going to trade it. The 10 and 20 do seem to be getting closer together, converging. I wish the price was up here a little bit more, but as I said, due to time constraints, it's just not in the cards for me today to continue to watch this. So I'm going to go ahead and I am going to pull us into Tradier, and we're going to check out TQQQ. Now, this is the small account challenge. This is the $3,650 that we're starting with out of the gate. So I'm going to do send to ticket by hitting the lightning bolt on TQQQ. And I'm going to wait for this to populate. And it has. So now I'm going to figure out how many shares of TQQQ I would need to add in. So I'm going to do the 3650. And I'm going to hit enter. And this is going to tell me the quantity would be 44. So if I pop this down and I put in 44, I should do a limit order, right? And what is the current price? 81.25. So we're going to have to bump that up to a little bit more there. Let's just do 81.25. Good for today. I want to make sure that I am again in TQQQ, and I'd hit the buy button. Let's see what we get. Would you like to buy 44 shares of TQQQ at 81.25? And sure enough, I would like to. And so what did we get? Order successfully sent. So in the portfolio, there is now 44 shares of TQQQ. So fantastic. We've been filled. This is now the very first transaction of the small account challenge focused on plan ETF. Very, very exciting. So let's go ahead and mark that chart. I like to mark in here that I have done an open. So I have created an open template. I'll just throw the date in here, 06/16. What did I pay for that guy? What did I pay? I said I would like to spend no more than 81.25. What was my fill? I got 81.19 mid, so that's my portfolio. Where is my buy? So average price 81.19. That's most likely what I was filled at. Midpoint 81.20. So that must be the active price. This must be the price I paid. So 81.19. So if I drop this down, I just put in 81.19. And I'm also going to put that in the coordinates area just by copying and pasting. And then I'm going to make this bar nice and wide by adding a 9 there. So if I was to look at the daily candle here, I can see I got in right here on TQQQ on this date. It does look like the vertical bar disappeared here. Let's go fix that. There we go. There's that vertical bar. There we go. That's where I got in. So how would I get out? You know, I don't ever get in unless I know how I'm going to get out. Here's what it would take. The QQQ sell signal, a bearish cross, an order block, or if the close price is more than 3 ATR above the 20. So let's talk about those. Where would I see a sell signal on the Qs? Well, I'm in the Qs right now. I would look right here for my sell signal. I would also check in my chart. Anytime I see a red S after the buy, that would be a sell. And I'll also be able to find it in the outlier 9. The 10-20 bearish cross would be here in this graph, right? If this turns red, that tells me that the blue is the 10 and is under the black, which is the 20. And the price is under the 50, which is the red. Then the order blocks. I'm going to use the deep thought indicator on the order blocks. If I were to find that there's a horizontal bar above my price within, it has to be at least 30 days old, right? So I would have to hold this trade for quite a while. There is no order block today. So it would be holding it for a month. One can only hope, right? That would be a fantastic trade. And then this close price here, this relates to the value zone. So if I just turn off that deep thought indicator and hop into the value zone, this price would need to close above this red line right here. This is the 3 ATR line above the 20 EMA, this black. So if this price were to rise all the way up through here, I'd get a sell. That'd be great, wouldn't it? That'd be fantastic. That would be a 14% move. I'm into it. Let's hope that happens. Okay, now we have to log, right? We have to log the trade. So I put in here the day that it was going to be opened, the ticker, plan ETF, the fact that I'm anticipating the price increasing. I bought shares of TQQQ, so it's stock. How many did I buy? 44. Okay. And what was the entry price? It was 81.19. So let's hop back over there and put in 81.19. The amount paid, 81.19. Have not received anything, have no fees. And so then we could do the OC type just for interest sake, right? So what is the market score for today's outlier channels? We're in full stocks. Kind of zoom in here a little bit with that 3-month button. I'm going to see a gray over a red. I don't get any points for a gray, but I do get a point for a red. So the market would be a 1. So the first thing we know is M1, right? And for TQQQ, what do we get there? So we're in the Qs. Let's just go ahead and pop TQQQ in there. Okay, it's going to tell us that this is the constituent heat map for TQQQ. And what score do I get? Boy, I've got a green, got a red. So I'm going to get 2 scores right there, right? So this shall be named M1S2. M1S2, that's pretty cool, right? And what is the SPY heat map? If I go over to SPY, we're looking for the heat map value, 5507. We're watching this number right here. Hover over today, you get 5507. Sector heat map value. The Qs. $53.93. Fantastic, right? We do not have relative greed of more than 1, but is that a signal? Is that an entry signal? No. Nowhere in here does it even mention sector relative greed. That is a plan M signal. Sector relative greed is a plan M signal. It's not a plan ETF signal. So you're really just putting that information into here for future reference, right? That might be something to backtest against. If the relative greed is less than 1, maybe that means something. You won't know unless you record the data. So there you have it. There is the first TQQ trade in the small account challenge. I really, like I said, I wish I could have had the opportunity to watch it a little bit longer, but that's the way it goes sometimes, and we'll see how it plays out. So till the next one, outliers, I'll catch you later, and happy trading.